Hi everyone. It's glad to meet you in metaverse or social VR. So it's really fantastic experience. Always dreams about. My research day that I'm going to present is something like this. So we learn language in the social VR. So here I can start. So my research topic is research based on affective filter theory. Is social VR an effective tools for learning a language? So let me know if you can if you have difficulty to see the presentation that behind me. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. So hi, my name is Yeonhee Cho. So I'm a doctoral student in University of Washington in Seattle. And then this research team is consists of 6 people, include Hao Ming, Ziwan, Emily, Hyunyoung, Yushi. So on behalf of my research team, I'm pleased to present today. So before I jumping into my main research, I want to ask one question. So have you ever been afraid of making mistake when learning a second language? I have a lot of I can speak English and Chinese and Japanese, but when I start to learn language always at the beginning, it's full of mistake, but I sometimes I'm afraid of it, and I am afraid of people laughing at me because I make a mistake. So I'm sure that you guys also have that kind of experience. So here's effective theory is by the Stepan de Crescent. It's been a long theory. They talk about in order to learn a second language, you have to, if you are, those are 3 factors going to be hindered at the learning language, which is lower motivation, lower confidence, and high anxiety. That those 3 main factors is going to be bother your learning language. So our team also think about then what if we use social VR as a learning tool? Is it possible to reduce the fear of speaking language? Also avoid those kind of fear because you are become an avatar and then your anxiety level is going to be down and you're not afraid of make mistake and practice in language in the social VR world. So that's the piece we start to investigate why we select the social VR as a learning. And then here's the three hypotheses and one research question. So main research question is about is a social VR an effective tools for second language learning? And then we measure motivation, confidence, and anxiety. So hypothesis is participants who exposed to the social VR will develop higher motivation than the face the video conferencing the group. One is confidence, anxiety. So as a social VR people lower anxiety than the video conference. Third one is confidence. So participants who social VR are higher confidence level after they are working the workshop. So you're, I'm sure that you're asked about the social VR because since we are here, this is the social VR metaverse. With other terms, metaverse. We are meet here and hanging out here, connecting here, talking here, chatting here. A lot of activity being an avatar. That's the definition of social VR. Then we select Mozilla Hub as stimulus is because Mozilla Hub has a private section, web-based, and then you don't need to log in. So for the research purpose, Mozilla Hub was kind of a perfect fit for our research. Then we taught Korean language. So by the way, my biologically I'm Korea, so I taught Korean language in the social VR to the participant. So we making sort of the situation scenario and let them learn how to order coffee in a coffee shop. So we set up environment like a coffee shop. So people coming out and then they can order coffee Korean. And this is the research procedure. So basically we have a two condition. One is the VR social VR group, and the other one is the video conferencing group. Video conferencing, we use a Zoom, and the social VR group, we use the Mozilla Hub. And before they're conducting the workshop, they have a pre-survey measuring that motivation, anxiety, and confidence level. And then after workshop, which is I'm teaching the Korean language, they finish, they have a post-survey, which is kind of similar to the pre-survey. And then after that, we have a sort of the debriefing interview. So those are the survey questions that we implement. We use the survey questions from other scholars already validate. So, and then this is how it looks like. So Zoom version. By the way, we want to also see that group work. So at least in workshop is more than 2 or 3 people, uh, not individual. So in the group, we want to see how their anxiety, motivation, confidence are changed after the workshop. So left side is a Zoom video conferencing group. The right side is a social VR group. And then this is the interview questions. Basically, we ask about overall experience about the social VR or Zoom experience. And then we ask about why questions, some following questions for the survey. So something that we cannot catch up in the survey that we ask about qualitative using the qualitative methods, and then we ask about kind of why do you think, how do you feel like that. Participant demography is video conferencing is 15, and then social VR is 16. We try to make an equal balance to reduce the bias. Um, so baseline, so technology use and Korean interest, because those are two factors going to be affect to the motivation and confidence level. Because if you're good at control the technology, that you might be more confident to do that the technology. And also same as the Korean language. So if you are interested about Korean culture or something, you are eager to learn Korean language, that might be a fact to anxiety and motivation. So we measure those two factors as in the survey, and then there's no significant difference in the two conditions. And also we measure that why people use this platform. Zoom, a lot of people said they use as in the classroom or online to meet people or school. So more like a formalizing course. And then social VR is more like game, meeting friends, hanging out, fun. So more like informal the meeting. And these are the results that we found. We use mixed ANOVA to find the motivation, anxiety, and confidence. But as you see here, p-value, as time goes by, which is a pre and post, and then two different level. So it's a 2 by 2 in between subjects, but we couldn't find value, which is there's no significant difference in as time goes by. I'm going to talk about that later more. And if you see more closely one by the one factor, so motivation, see here, blue one is the video conferencing, and then the red line is the social VR. So blue starting like more high motivation and ended up also high motivation than social VR. But just to take a look at amount of the change between that video conferencing and social VR. Social VR is higher than video conferencing, which means pre and post as time goes by, that social VR increase more motivation. What about the anxiety? Anxiety, this graph you have to interpret a little bit differently because high anxiety, that means you are anxious, you're nervous. And if you lower anxiety, so you're relaxing, you're more comfortable. So as you see here, social VR starting kind of similar with the video conferencing, but they ended up video conferencing is more comfortable, relaxing tools. We found that interesting quote in the in the interview quote data. So I'm going to talk about why this graph is showing like that. The last one is the confidence level. So video social VR starting with a high confidence. Okay, I can play well in the social VR. That's how people feel about. But the ended up video conferencing is a surface that the social VR. So summarizing for this quant data, we couldn't find that significant difference between that video conferencing using video conferencing and the social VR. And also anxiety is even more decreasing in the video conferencing than in the social VR. Um, so which is hypothesis didn't support at all. Um, However, the qualitative the data show a little bit more possibility. So the interview data. So people said like because we become an avatar, it makes reduce my anxiety. Um, Definitely, it's make more comfortable. But since we are teaching language, people wants to see, which means they want to see face recognition, body language. They want to learn from people's face. So that's why the anxiety and motivation and confidence is all kind of opposite assumed. But as I said, like the motivation, the amount of the social VR motivation is higher than the video conferencing. Is because people think that social VR makes me feels more motivated and more fun experience. So they might have a novelty effect, but for our result showing that social VR is interesting, fun activity, not really effect for language learning because they want to see social human interaction. Um, so those are two main kind of limitation. Um, so Zoom, since people these days because of big in school or classroom, they're using Zoom, so they're familiar with Zoom, and then they're new for Mozilla Hub or social VR. So that might be a effect to the anxiety level. So that's the one limitation. And also the other one is, as I said, that they want to see the lip sync or body language for learning language. And the other limitation is we have a 15 and 16 people, which is a 31. For quant data, that's really kind of lower sample. Like at least we should have a rule of thumb is usually is 30 people for each group. So that's something as a downside. Like I try to find the people, but because of COVID, it's really hard to find more participant. But in the future, for the long-term study, maybe we can increase more sample data. And people, as I mentioned, have more experience for the Zoom. And we social VR, we didn't use the VR headset. We just used Mozilla Hub monitor by the computer. even though we open for participants, you can use your own headset, but none of them are actually using. That might be affect to the immersiveness. So that's a three limitation. And my conclusion here is, so we see, even though we didn't see that quant data, but we see that possibility and the feasibility for using social VR for learning language. Integrating with probably the video or real time, you can see the face. There might be a possibility for future to use the social VR as a language learning tools. So that's all for today. This is my information that you can always contact me if you have any